Okay, thank you, Emma. So yes, I'm going to speak to you today about the way in which you can create your own virtual field trips and how we can potentially empower our local communities with the tools to and the means to capture their locales and share them online. So we've seen a lot of examples today about how this method has been driven from perhaps a top-down perspective using technology, where all of the data is provided, all of the learning and teaching materials are provided by the research teams. This is an interesting approach to allowing our participants and our students and our communities to create their own 3D content and to share it using openly available softwares. So just a little bit of context here. The research group that I work for is at in the School of Computer Science and Statistics, and they have a very technological focused approach to the research they do. So they're developing the hardware and software for 6 degrees of freedom technologies like VR and AR using volumetric video. We look at 3DOF using 360 video. We look at light field imaging technologies. We do visual effects and animations, and we also are doing a lot of research on deep learning for visual computing. And what's great about this particular research group, from my perspective, is that we participate in a lot of creative experiments. So I'm a HCI researcher with a background in creative technology, and I help to evaluate these technologies as they're used in practice. So you can see there our volumetric capture studio there with one of our actors performing and myself performing for a music video project. We have cultural heritage projects like Jonathan Swift talking in the library. We have Samuel Beckett's play. We have recently won an award for image technology echoes. And we have other experiences like Bridging the Blue for exploring topics of clinical depression and such. So this particular project is one that is about storytelling and co-created artistic practices and about sharing experiences of COVID-19. I'm going to play a short video for you now to give you an idea of what it is that this project's about.
Hello and welcome to Clontarf in Dublin. In response to the COVID-19 lockdown, this project was set up to record the various ways that our day-to-day life has been impacted upon. Nearly a year has passed since the beginning of the crisis, and it continues to affect us all today. Lockdown effects have in many ways diminished our quality of life, particularly concerning the negative impact on work-life balance, how the pandemic has disrupted our face-to-face activities, and how it serves to highlight the importance of public places for healthy remote working practices. Using a 5-step open source process, we have applied a workflow for capturing personally meaningful places and sharing them via the social VR platform AltSpace. By harnessing the power of social VR, we have created a custom collection of virtual simulations of real spaces. In AltSpace, members of the public can embody avatars and travel to these virtual locations to listen to the experiences of others and share their own. The intention is to harness VR's potential of global connectivity to provide a place for friendship, therapeutics, and reconciliation. The 3D environment I have chosen to share with everyone today is of a Chilean moe that is located on the Dublin seafront. This area is local to where I live, and without it, I would be confined to my small city apartment without access to open skies, the fresh air of the seafront, and its natural floral surroundings. This space is open to all and provides a unique insight into urban life in Dublin City. Other project contributors have followed the same 5-step process to represent the spaces that have significant meaning to their experiences of the pandemic. These environments are also freely open to the public and can be visited by up to 30 people in real time from anywhere in the world. This co-creative community arts activity offers a unique experience for collective storytelling and virtual field trips during the COVID-19 lockdown and provides users with an embodied telepresence that is somewhat lacking on other digital social platforms. Thanks for stopping by.
Okay, thanks, Virtual Gareth. So the process that we're using for this storytelling project has grown from another project where I was working at Maynooth University on the Building City Dashboards project to try and look at new ways of which we can encourage communities to contribute to data collection and particularly sharing 3D models of their local communities. So we're moving away from spatial analysis to one of a more softer sort of place-based analysis, where we can gather information about the things in people's communities that are important to them, not just the quantitative facts about where they live. So we're looking at capturing the physical world through this 5-step process in order to create virtual environments for sharing online. And this includes the capturing of location-based media through field trips, then using automated photogrammetry processes that apply structure for motion, very technical stuff, but all openly available for use. And I'll show you how I apply that in a moment. You can also use open source 3D software for cleaning up these models, because the structure for motion photogrammetry process is quite messy. And then using the Unity game engine, in this case, just using a game engine in general, to collate all of our collected media together and to upload that then to a social VR platform called Altspace VR that you can share with lots of different people, not only using VR, but also using desktop versions for both PC and Apple Macs, which is still in beta, but it still works. So the process is free to use. There's no coding required. We've had varying success and failures with people's technical abilities, but on the whole, as a co-creative practice, people sort of collect themselves together into work groups, and they help each other along using all of these different softwares. So I'm using the Alice Vision Meshroom open source photogrammetry software for reconstructing from photos. I'm using Blender to clean these photos up. Like I mentioned, the Unity game engine to construct these 3D environments, and then Altspace to share them. And all of this started out from just using a basic mobile phone to capture and share 3D materials, and obviously a PC or a laptop. So to make this relevant to the CCAP project today, I went out on 2 field trips within my 20 kilometers in one case, and along the route to my home in North Wales as well in the second. And I went out to Howth, and I went out to Tulacra, one in Fingal and one in Flintshire, and I did a 3D capture, and I'm going to share that process with you today. So I've been doing this since 2019, and along the way I've collected different hardware to assist me, and the captures I did were with a 360 camera. I use a video camera as well sometimes to capture extra details. I use an audio field recorder and a DSLR, so that's full disclosure on the way in which I've scaled this up from mobile phone activities. And the first step is to go to the location and basically take a lot of pictures of it. It's always very curious to watch somebody who's performing photogrammetry. They can use drones or they can use cameras, and it's like take a step, take a picture, take a step, take a picture, and you walk all the way around your object. So for the Martello Tower there, I walked all the way around it. For the lighthouse as well, I was able to walk all around it. I also captured a 360 image from outside it and recorded some ambient audio to capture the modalities that were all available to me at the time. So the photogrammetry software, there's on the one side you can see where I've dropped in my photos, and on the other in the 3D viewer you can see a point cloud reconstruction and the camera positions. In both examples I took over 100 pictures, and the Meshrooms took care of the process of rebuilding a 3D model for me. I changed 1 or 2 items in the drop-down menu, all of which were very straightforward, and you just hit start and leave your computer work on that for overnight or for a couple of hours during the day. And what you get out of that process is a very messy but very detailed 3D model. And you can see the coastline for the lighthouse there, and you can see all of this clouds and fencing. All of this is extra material that I use Blender to just cut away, simple delete vertices, and I can very quickly get a clean model. So the lighthouse there is a little bit wobbly on top, but that was from the perspective of which I was able to take pictures. Again, if you have a drone, that's very handy, but if you're using a mobile phone or a DSLR, you can get relatively good results with, as you can see with the Martello Tower there. So taking these 3D models and dropping them into the Unity game engine, you can then bring in your sound, your 360 imagery. You can create a platform for your objects. So I've created just a simple grassy area for people to explore these two locations. And basically, it's a fairly straightforward process, but you do require some technical abilities. But what I try to do is provide very explicit step-by-step tutorials for everybody to follow. And if you've done this with local communities, we did a workshop in the Science Gallery in Dublin. We've used this process with students as a learning activity. And like I say, we're using this for storytelling as well to capture local areas for COVID-19 lockdown narratives. So here's a quick video of me jumping around these models. This is kind of what the AltSpace environment looks like. You have 6 degrees of freedom. You can turn your head, you can look up, look down. You can very quickly move from one location to another using teleport. The AltSpace platform natively sort of can host 30 people at once. This is obviously just me by myself, but you can have up to 30 people in an open event. You can increase those numbers by having private events that are scheduled and you need a password and an invitation to get into. AltSpace also has other facilities where you can use the front row capabilities and have much more people. So there I am teleporting quickly into Talacra Beach, a journey that took several hours in real life, that I can now explore 2 locations, looking at them together with other people. So, like I say, we're not just using this for storytelling; we're using this for creative practice. But one of the other projects that I'm working on at the moment is for immersive learning, and I'll show you an example here now of where we take a group of students out around Dublin.
Online virtual worlds are increasingly becoming meeting places for students and teachers to discuss and collaborate on diverse academic subjects and practices. The Immersive Learning project at vSense extends and builds upon our previous work by exploring immersive learning and demonstrating new workflows that enable students and teachers to create virtual worlds for collaborative learning via social VR. This research aims to examine the role of embodiment, immersion, and presence in remote learning contexts and introduce practical solutions for collecting place-based multimedia and 3D information that can be used in the co-creation of virtual learning environments. The concepts of social constructivism, ground truthing, space and place, and the virtual field trip convey the different teaching and learning potentials offered through the separate activities of constructing, exploring, and learning in virtual classrooms as representations of the real world. This practical approach actively involves students in stimulating hands-on activities with content and takeaway materials that offer relevance and meaningful rewards for engagement in contemporary remote learning and emergent cross-reality contexts. We anticipate that our studies in this area will offer researchers and educators insight into student experiences with immersive technology in co-creative exercises in the classroom and via other remote learning platforms elsewhere in the world.
Thanks again, Virtual Gareth. And yeah, so you can find more information about this on our website. You can follow us on Twitter. I will share my contact details in the chat box, and I look forward to taking your questions later on.